Welcome to Tousi TV. This is your global news channel. I'm Tousi, and tensions are increasing in the Middle East between the United States and the Islamic Republic of Iran. Over the last few minutes, the US Navy have shot down one IRGC drone. The Islamic Republic have decided to launch another drone towards USS Abraham Lincoln. We've also had massive issues with the Islamic Republic ships and boats trying to intercept the American tankers. Things are escalating. The Islamic Republic Parliament in Tehran are now calling for the end of the negotiations with the US that was supposed to be on Friday. Everything is happening at the same time. This is the live ongoing developments. We're going to get your reaction as usual. And now, first things first, let's start with what's been happening over the last few hours in general. Because firstly, you had the weird explosion, which we'll get to in a second. But US Navy did warn, the CENTCOM did warn the IRGC over the last few days, don't play around. Don't come around USS Abraham Lincoln, the aircraft carrier, or any of our assets. Don't be suspicious. The Islamic Republic said, we don't care. They send their drones, and now they found out. The second drone is now on its way. Meanwhile, earlier today, we had a bit of a situation in Tehran, to the western parts of the capital. Jannat Abad marketplace, a massive shopping center, a mysterious explosion, a huge fire. The Islamic Republic don't have an explanation. This was the scenes earlier. Look at that. Chaos broke out. Now, following this, we had some reaction from the authorities, the emergency services, that said everything is fine, it happens. Basically, another gas leak. Gaslighting the public by claiming this is a gas leak. But a lot of people are still quite suspicious on what happened. Could this be an inside job to blame it on the anti-IRGC Iranians, to blame it on the Israelis and the Americans, basically the enemies of the Islamic Republic? Let's go to another angle. Now, some information that we have about the drone that we talked about earlier. This was an Islamic Republic Shahid 139 drone that was flying towards USS Abraham Lincoln. It was shot down by an F-35 US fighter jet. So they didn't even use the on-the-ground air defense system. So they actually used F-35 to go and bring it down. But right now, as we speak, there is a security escalation inside Iran. In the capital, we are now getting more updates, and not just from Tehran, but also other cities like Mashhad. First, let's go to Tehran. Drones being sighted over the skies in District 22 of the capital, and the sound of air defense system. Clearly, again, another air defense drill being happening in Tehran as they are getting ready. But one thing, we're actually going to show you guys the situation in Mashhad as well. But before we do that, I think we also have another video from the shopping center, and also I'm going to show you a photo of before and after of what happened, what it looked like beforehand, and what it looks like now. That is insane, by the way. That's not a normal fire. That's not just a random arson or accidental fire happening in a major marketplace. But having said that, apparently the F-35s are being activated again. They basically hunt down all the drones. Doesn't really matter how many drones the IRGC try to launch towards USS Abraham Lincoln. It's not really the safest thing to do. But as things escalate, the regime are split in Iran. So you have those who are pushing for diplomacy, you are those who are pushing for instant war, and you have those who are pushing for kind of buying time and distracting and stalling. The parliament decided, while the government itself were begging the Americans for negotiations, the parliament and parliamentarian decided to burn the American flag and start chanting "Death to America" again. It's boring. It's like every Tuesday. Boring. What is this? It's embarrassing. Death to America. It's so childish. But they've been doing that regularly, right? Now, the problem is that the parliamentarians are getting a little bit too loud. We're going to go to some of the footage that we received from earlier on from the Iranian parliament. Before we do that, that's not safe. What are you doing? Oh dear. Anyway. Okay. So that's apparently a thing now. Meanwhile, before we get to the next update from what's happening inside the Iranian parliament, the UK Maritime Trade Operations issued a massive advisory, 00126, warning of suspicious activity in the Straits of Hormuz. This was a couple of hours ago. A commercial vessel was repeatedly held on a VHF radio by several small armed boats by the Islamic Republic, demanding it to stop. The ship ignored the calls and continued throughout the inbound traffic lane, and this is in the northern parts of Oman. Then we discovered what was actually happening. We had 6 Islamic Republic gunboats trying to F around to find out. They approached a United States tanker in the Strait of Hormuz and ordered it to stop. They wanted to hijack the US vessel. And the tanker obviously ignored the call, which is good, increased its speed, and was later escorted by a US warship in the Middle East. So one of the reasons that the US tanker felt confident was simply because the United States military are all over the place right now. They literally have covered all bases near the Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman and the Arabian Sea. It doesn't really matter. So if a few tiny gunboats by the IRGC try to stop you, to try to hijack you, you just ignore it. Just keep going, pick up the phone, get the US military to come and keep you safe. Going back to Parliament in Tehran, I can't take this one seriously, but the parliamentarians, including Amir Hossein Sabati, are now calling for the end of negotiations with the United States and urging the government in Iran to do a preemptive attack on both Israel and the US bases in the region. Let's go and see what's going on.
مسئله بعد تذکرم خطاب به دستگاه دیپلماسی کشور هستش که اصلا معلوم نیست چطور تصمیم گیری میکنه. شما از مذاکرات قبلی در عمان چه خیری دیدید که حالا دل بستید مذاکرات در ترکیه؟ اصلا یکی به جواب ما رو بده. مگه دفعه قبلی شما وسط مذاکره نبودید که بمبارون کردن کشور رو؟ برای چی دوباره اون خطای راهبردی رو تکرار میکنید؟ چه امتیازی میخواید بدید؟ چه میخواید بدهید که در برابر اون جنگ نشه؟ امروز مردم ایران منتظر حمله پیش دستانه به اسرائیل و پایگاه آمریکا در منطقه هستن، نه اینکه از موضع ضعف باشید برید اونجا دوباره مذاکره بکنید. چی میخواید بدید؟ چه چیزی میخواید بگیرید؟ این راهبرد غلط رو اصلاح بکنید. نکته بعدی خطاب به حسن روحانی است که دوباره برگشته گفته اصلاحات جزئی فایده نداره، باید اصلاحات بزرگ انجام بشه. حرف درستیه. بزرگترین اصلاح رو امروز قوه قضاییه باید انجام بده و امثال تو رو که کشور رو 8 سال به ضعف کشوندن برخورد بکنه. اگر امثال تو با اون ترک فعلا، با اون سوء تدبیرها امروز پشت میله زندان بودن، کشور در این نقطه قرار نمی گرفت. من از قوه قضاییه میخوام اصلاح بزرگ رو شروع کنه، بره سراغ کله گنده هایی که سالهای سال با ترک فعل، با سوء تدبیر کشور رو به این نقطه رسوندن، ضعیف کردن و امروز سر شده و خوابهای دیگری برای آینده خودشون میبینن. خواهش میکنم اصلاح بزرگ رو از برخورد با این افراد شروع بکنید و نتیجهش رو هم در اتحاد ملی ببینید.
He's having a complete meltdown. This is embarrassing stuff by the parliamentarians in Tehran. Obviously, these are the same idiots who just chant "Death to America," burn the American flag inside the parliamentary chamber. It's bad. It's not a good look, guys. Come on, grow up. Having said that, the Islamic Republic have new demands. Yes. So on the one hand, they want to cancel the talks. On the other hand, they have now decided to say that we need to change the location. We don't want to go to Turkey anymore. We want to go to Oman. Okay. So we are 3 days away from the negotiations, right? Which are pointless talks. It doesn't really matter. Let them talk, even if they do talk, which at this point is unlikely they even start. Let them negotiate. Let them even sign a deal on nuclear. It doesn't really change anything. It doesn't really save the regime. It doesn't do anything. Let them do it. But the Islamic Republic have demanded to change. They don't want to go to Turkey. They want to go to Oman. And they also say that instead of talks featuring several Arab countries, they want to have bilateral format only with the Americans. This is a terrible, terrible idea. This is not good. And I'm giving you an advice, Khamenei and your team. This is a terrible idea. The only reason that you guys are even able to have this potential discussion on Friday and de-escalation, well, until now, because we're seeing escalation, was because the Persian Gulf Arab countries saved you. Countries like Qatar and all the others got involved and say, it's okay, we will mediate. And now you're saying, let's go to Oman and we will talk to the Americans directly. You can't negotiate with the Americans directly. Think about this. Just sit down and think this is a terrible idea. Basically, this means, as things stand, even if they do meet in Oman, let's just say if President Trump says yes to Oman, because this could just be an excuse to cancel the talks. If they sit down with the Americans, nothing's going to get done because both sides have crazy red lines against each other. Neither side is going to say yes anyway. You're just wasting everybody's time. Meanwhile, the USS George H.W. Bush has now left the naval station in Norfolk. It's now obviously as part of the Carrier Strike Group 10. They are now moving towards the region. But we will get more information on this. This is the latest massive vessel that has now been deployed as well. But meanwhile, the Islamic Republic Navy are also trying their best to be seen as strong and stable. So, the Islamic Navy of Iran have allegedly successfully tested this stealth Abu Mahdi submarine missile with a 2,600 kilometer range, which means, theoretically speaking, the USS Abraham Lincoln is within range. They could hit wherever they want. Now, are they actually stupid enough to try this? Firstly, will this even work? Was it just one single test to basically send a message that, look, we got things, we got secret things. Yeah, we only had one, we tested it, but we got things. Don't worry, we got a lot of things. Or are they telling the truth? The Israelis, meanwhile, the Israeli government and the intelligence are now assessing that the chances of negotiations between the United States and the Islamic Republic succeeding is as close to 0. And I think this is very optimistic by the Israelis. I think as things stand, the potential success of the talks between the US and the IRGC is -5. It's not even close to 0. But if they want to waste each other's times, let them do it. Right now, over the last 10 minutes, we can confirm that the meeting between Steve Witkoff and Netanyahu has ended. So Steve Witkoff, the US negotiator, went to Israel earlier on, had a 3-hour meeting with the Israelis before they even start talking with the Islamic Republic. The whole point is that the Israelis were going to use this meeting to tell Witkoff, don't bother. It's not going to work. We're not going to say yes to any of this. So the message is this. We warned the Americans that the Iranians will violate any agreement and that there is no point in trying to reach one. They will not dismantle their nuclear and missile capabilities, and the Iranians are trying to buy time to move offensive weapons into hiding places. That last part, obviously, is a clear tactic by the Islamic Republic. That's not even some sort of secret thing. And surely the Americans obviously are aware. What the Islamic Republic have been doing over the last few minutes when it comes to drone activities, it doesn't help the situation. And of course with their gunboats trying to hijack a massive US vessel, a tanker. In the middle of all this, should we go back to Parliament? Because that's the comedy gold of everything that's happening right now. Let's go back to Tehran, the so-called fake plastic parliament of the Islamic Republic. Because the deputy speaker of the Iranian parliament has now said that in about a month, guys, we have 1 month. 1 month deadline. They say in about a month, we will recite the funeral prayer for President Trump, the United States, and their allies. Yeah, I'm not joking. It says, get ready for the funeral of Trump.
و در 22 اسفند ماه روز قدس یک بار دیگر پیمان خودشون رو با امامت و ولایت محکم خواهند کرد و فاتحه توطئه‌گر و فتنه‌گر و آمریکا و همه هم پیمانان اونها رو خواهند خواند.
Why are you doing this? I could just watch the Islamic Republic Parliament all day. It's the funniest thing I've ever seen. It's the best sitcom. They don't even. It's unironically, it's actually the funniest thing you could see. They need to have a live feed like BBC Parliament in the UK where you could just watch Parliament all day. That would be the funniest thing ever. Anyway, while that's happening, there are issues, serious problems. Firstly, going back to the problem of the shopping center in Jannatabad. This is the before and after image. Look how huge that building is, right? And solid. The whole thing is now destroyed. Within minutes. You can't tell me that was an accident. You can't even tell me that was just a random arsonist. This was planned. Now, whether this was an inside job by the regime to pretend that they are the victims, they are under attack, so this is an excuse for them to do more crazy things, or whether these are the... I don't know why it's in the interest of the anti-IRGC Iranians to do this. I don't think they are behind it, because why would they hit somewhere like that? It's still more likely it's an inside job. 230 stores have now been fully burned down. These are people's businesses and livelihoods. All that's gone. Now, as I said, we are also dealing with intense air defense activities in Iran. I think we can go to Sanandaj. Yeah. Sound of massive explosions in the vicinity. Let's just go and see what we're dealing with. Yeah, they seem to be relentless, obviously. And they continue with their air defense drills and everything else that is happening. And people are panicking because it's not like the 12-day war, before the 12-day war. With everything, with the uprising and since then, every time people are trying to go to sleep and they hear an explosion, they panic. It's not really a good time to live in Iran anyway. And you have this to deal with on top of it, the Islamic Republic using their own territory near residential areas to do crazy nonsense. Now, some update about the US military deployments as well. Overnight flights departing from the Biggs Air Force. This is actually, where is it? That's Fort Bliss. Yeah, Fort Bliss, which is the home of the US Navy Patriot Air and Missile Defense Unit. So everything that's being deployed now, again, they are in addition to the existing defense capabilities for the Americans in the Middle East. So, more flights, 34 flights actually, from Fort Hood. And 6 others, 4 from Fort Bliss and 6 others from elsewhere, on their way towards the Middle East. They're going to Jordan with 13 flights going to Jordan and 8 flights going to Saudi Arabia, and the other is going to Kuwait and Bahrain and Qatar. So almost every single country is going to get more defense capabilities thanks to the Americans. But we're going to keep an eye on the deployment of the defense capabilities towards the Middle East, which is still going on, obviously. The Islamic Republic's space agency, yes, they have a space agency. They actually have a space agency, which doesn't do much apart from launching failed satellites. They now say that Hataf 3 satellite could now be launched on a Seymour rocket by March. Now, capabilities tests between the satellite and launcher are now ongoing. They want to basically be seen as the dominators of the airspace and the actual space in general. Nobody really cares about this. What we're mostly worried about is what's happening between China and the Islamic Republic with all these cargoes and planes going back and forth. Because we had another Boeing 747 cargo aircraft from Iran, which was registration EPSIH. This is for the SEPA or the IRGC, en route again towards China. They are clearly going there to pick things up, to bring it back to Iran. This has been going on for the last 2-3 weeks now. Most of the things, the speculations are that the Chinese are also providing the Islamic Republic with defense capabilities. Well, we hope so, because if it's more offensive weapons, then China will be in massive trouble with the President Trump. Now, defections also continue inside the regime in the middle of all this chaos, which is not really a good look. We can now confirm senior Iranian diplomat Gholam Reza Derikvand, who was in charge of the relations of the Iranian embassy in Austria, has now defected and decided to seek political asylum in Switzerland. He's now the second one after the other thing that we had, the other guy recently. What was he? The Ali Reza Hukumabad, who was the ambassador, well, the diplomat in the United Nations building in Geneva. He also defected, and we now have this guy, Gholam Reza, who has also defected. More of these guys are packing their bags, running away. It's not worth it. Just give it up. It's over. Game over. Try again later. Now, CENTCOM are not too happy with the Islamic Republic. Central Command, a few days ago, gave a warning to the Islamic Republic not to play around in the Middle East with the drones and all the other nonsense. They didn't listen. They launched one drone earlier, got shot down, and we have some update, by the way. It's just coming. But first, we have to give you guys... I cannot believe I'm about to say this. But before we do that, the CENTCOM commander, Admiral Bradley Cooper, has now said that continued Iranian harassment and threats in international waters and airspace will not be tolerated. Now, this is a diplomatic way of saying, how dare you? But in reality, we might see some action by the Americans against the IRGC. Now, I can't believe I'm saying this, but the Islamic Republic of Iran, over the last few minutes, have decided to launch another drone towards USS Abraham Lincoln. Why? Why would you do this? I don't understand. Firstly, you're just wasting your drones. You do realize what's going to happen. They're going to get shot down. The F-35s are flying around. They're going to shoot it down again. They're not cheap drones. They're not from Timu. Well, perhaps they are. But so they're wasting their drones again. More drones being launched towards USS Abraham Lincoln to F around to then find out. We're getting more updates from inside the country as well. Mashhad. Several explosions and gunfire was heard. This is near Boron's barracks in Mashhad. Yeah, it is, yeah. Khatab al-Anbiya Air Base. This is basically the air defense hub for the IRGC. Let's quickly go to Mashhad.
بشین بیا از این
Bam. So that's still going on.
بشین از بیا از این
Yeah, now, absolute lunatics right now, the Islamic Republic. We're going to keep an eye on the flight radar while we're here. And I'm going to get your reaction because we're getting more updates from the Middle East, especially the US military. But I think there's another drone. That might be the US one, but I'm just going to quickly bring this up for you guys while we're here. What is wrong with these people? All right, so what are we dealing with? Firstly, that is the... Oh, that's Russia. That's the Russian aircraft, military aircraft in Iran. I don't know where they're going, but okay. This is a little American drone. Yes. It's the Shield bats. And then, where is the Iranian one gone now? I think, did they shoot it down? It was here. Where is the other drone? Oh, it's not looking good for the Islamic Republic, unless they basically decided to run away. Yeah, for now, it's going to have the US drone up here until we find out where the other drone has gone now. Another Shahed drone by the IRGC. Anyway, crazy people doing crazy things. And some reaction. I can't believe no space lasers or shotgun shells versus drones. No electronic jamming. F-35 too expensive. Yeah, a little bit, but I think they wanted to send a message. What happened to the map? Well, that's not good. Everything disappeared. Haven't the IRGC learned from the Russian to not play with cigarettes? 50 years of tolerating this garbage is quite enough, I think. Yeah, a little bit. Especially if you're American, it must be quite frustrating when you've been dealing with this for some time. Apart from the Iranians themselves. Iran's MPs been chosen from nursing home. From the asylum. They're absolute crazy people. Take the coffee away from that man. Oh, the MP. Oh my God. You can't have a full-on meltdown on national TV in the middle of Parliament. It's embarrassing. What would your mother say? Thank you for super stickers. The way they burned that paper flag. Donald Trump, watch out. Why can't they burn a proper flag? Just get a flag from Amazon and then burn it. You can't reason with people whose cornbread ain't done in the middle. Don't know what that says. And what are your thoughts on Islamic extremists all over the US and Europe doing something united in the name of the IRGC? We've talked about that many times. Yeah, they're going to go boom, boom, boom a few times. But most of the extremists in the US and Europe are Sunni. They're against the IRGC. They're not Shia. So they're like ISIS or Al-Qaeda, that sort of mentality. They also hate the IRGC. The Europeans and the Americans are doing a good job right now. They have started to deport the IRGC Shia militants from their countries. The only country that's not doing it is the United Kingdom. So those who are in Britain are in a bit of danger, but those in Europe and the US and Canada, you guys are fine. Mostly. Of course, there was a gas leak. That's what happens when you destroy the gas pipes. That was not a gas leak. Of all gas leaks that we've had, fake ones and real ones, what happened today, that was not a gas leak. Children playing with matches is never good. Thank you so much for your excellent reports. My hubby and I watch each night. I'm a Tousi TV Plus member, praying for the Iranian people from Oregon, US. Thank you so much for the support. You can also become a member of Tousi TV Plus by scanning that QR code or just visit tousi.tv. You get full access to our independent streaming platform, tousi.tv. All right, so I'm just going to quickly check what happened to this map. I didn't do anything, by the way. I didn't click any of the filters. It's falling apart. It's a glitch. I hate Flight Radar. It doesn't work anymore. It's fine. I'll find a way. While we do that, let's just quickly get some reaction from, I think, yes, the Americans. We can go back to Washington right now because Caroline Leavitt is about to speak, of course. Oh, she's... this is going to be fun. after CENTCOM decided to shoot down the Islamic Republic drone. This reaction, which I will bring up to you guys. First, give me a second. The press secretary in the White House speaking just outside the White House about the range of options, I think. Let's get it ready. I think we're ready. Yeah. All right, let's quickly go to Caroline Levitt and see what she had to say.
These critical talks that are happening with Witkoff.
Well, look, I just spoke with Special Envoy Witkoff, and these talks, as of right now, are still scheduled. President Trump is always wanting to pursue diplomacy first, but obviously it takes two to tango. You need a willing partner to achieve diplomacy, and that's something that Special Envoy Witkoff is intent on exploring and discussing. As always, though, of course, the president has a range of options on the table with respect to Iran as commander-in-chief. I think they learned that quite well last year with the strike in Operation Midnight Hammer, which was wildly successful and obliterated their nuclear capabilities. But those talks will continue later this week as far as we're concerned right now.
See, that's the key point. In case you haven't noticed, I did mention last night these talks about nuclear, they make no sense, because literally until minutes before the uprising started last month, the White House and the president were saying, we obliterated the nuclear capabilities. They're no longer a threat, not even an issue anymore. Suddenly, right now, out of nowhere, oh, we need to talk about nuclear. It's because it's nothing to do with nuclear. It's just an excuse right now. Because they have to basically make it seem like we are trying to have some talks. The Islamic Republic, once again, are not playing ball. So we're going to have to go in. We tried our best. But the Islamic Republic is suddenly a threat again, right? Because 2 months ago, the IRGC was no longer a threat when it comes to nuclear. So President Trump, despite his social media posts a few weeks ago about, the Americans, we're ready, locked and loaded to go, it can't be seen as starting a random war, right, on behalf of the Iranian people. So, especially after what happened with Iraq and Afghanistan, so he has to make it seem like, well, we need an excuse. So let's talk again, and then let it fail because the talks are not going to go well, and then we could say, well, the Iranian regime are now a threat again. So we're gonna have to launch some strikes randomly out of nowhere, right? When air defense units are on high alert, there will be trigger-happy incidents of firing at nothing. Ammo comes down on civilian areas like malls. Yeah, but there were no reports of any sort of air defense drills happening this morning around the shopping center. Trump being advised by lizard-eating Arab lovers. No, it's not. Iran will be upgrading their drones. Instead of buying from Temu, they will be buying from Amazon. That's a better idea. It's great. And okay, hold up, wait a minute, what's going on? What's going on here? What did I miss? You could rewind back to the beginning of the live stream. Just a heads up, if you do that, the live chat is not going to go back. The live chat is live. So if you leave comments, there are people who rewind to the beginning of the live stream and then they leave their reaction in the live chat. They're like, why is nobody responding to me? It's because you're like 20 minutes behind. Thank you, Annette. The regime has never felt Israel or the US attack as full force. They will shatter quickly when it happens. Yeah, I mean, even the Israelis, they did quite well, but they didn't use everything that they had last time. But this time round, I have a feeling, at least the Israeli side, might go all out, which will be until the end of the mission. Of course, there's a gas leak. The gas has chosen a side and supports the free people of Iran. Doesn't really make sense because it destroyed people's shops and businesses. But I know what you're trying to say. Marketplace was burned down by the government. Inside job. They do that a lot, by the way, because in the 1970s, just before the paramilitary coup of 1979, the Islamists and the Marxists, when they were working together, the IRGC basically, they locked normal people inside the Cinema Rex. I've talked about that before. And they burned down the whole cinema. The idea was to blame it on the Shah and the government. And there were idiots at the time who believed it until the facts came out and realized, oh, that was actually Khomeini and his Islamist gang. They did that so many times. They were killing normal people on the streets because they had guns. And then they were blaming it on the king and the monarchy, which was completely chaotic. The only issue was that they thought the truth is not going to come out. But it did a few years later. And now they're in trouble. How can we find Goldie? I don't know. Find her. What happened to Goldie? Is she not around? I don't know. I'll find out. China can't be that dumb to side with this evil regime on its last leg versus the US. Yeah, they can't directly join and team up with the Islamic Republic. Obviously, indirectly they do because they are allies. But it will be stupid for the Chinese Communist Party to give offensive weapons, high-tech offensive weapons to the Islamic regime. They can give them all the air defense systems, whatever they want to do. But if they start doing that, then there will be consequences, of course. What provision is being made in the UK against IRGC counterattacks on Jewish institutions and the Iranian freedom fighters? Yes, they are fully prepared. The government and the Prime Minister are fully prepared. They have draft posts on social media, tweets, drafts. Immediately, they're on standby in case there's an attack on the Jews or whoever else in the UK. They will be posting our thoughts and prayers are with the families of victims. Stay vigilant. This is just part of living in London and Britain. So this is the provision that we have in the UK. You're going to get nice statements by our political leaders that their thoughts and prayers will be with us after the attacks. But no other provision. You're on your own. Oh God, it's back. The drone is back. Hang on. I really hope my flight radar works again. It does fall apart every now and then. Is it back? Hang on. Please be back. Yes, it's back. Okay. Let me just check. Where is the drone? I don't see the drone. Hang on. I'm going to check it first before. What's the code again? SEB2501. It keeps disappearing. You can't do this to me. Hang on. I'll put it on screen when I find it. Right now it doesn't help. Anything? I'm trying to go back to playback. I don't see it. But for now, we'll put it on the screen just in case it appears again. There we go. Just keep an eye on that. If you see the drone, let me know. Okay. Congrats. Donations have surpassed the GDP of Iran. Nice. Super sticker from Martin. Thank you. And we have I Trust Trump. They tried to stop our tanker with 6 gunboats. We responded. Yeah, we reported that. That's part of this live stream. I think it's like an abusive husband. If I can't have you, no one can. What aircraft was used for the drone? F-35, according to CENTCOM. USA can answer Tehran. There is just going to quickly check something while we have you guys here. The main focus right now is about what the Israelis mentioned to Witkoff, the US negotiator, saying that we obviously don't bother with the negotiations. We now have an assessment. Apparently, President Trump is holding firm on the 4 core demands, which is not going to get anywhere. In case you don't know, these so-called negotiations that are supposed to be happening on Friday in Istanbul, but the Islamic Republic don't want it to happen. They want to, well, half of them want to cancel. The other half want to move it to Oman. And they want to do it directly with the Americans. So no Arab mediators. Terrible idea. The Americans have 4 crucial red lines. No nuclear. No ballistic missiles. End the support and funding for the proxies. That is literally the whole point of the Islamic Republic. Without the proxies, there's no IRGC. And release the political prisoners and stop killing people on the streets. None of them will be accepted by the Islamic Republic. The only two that could be semi-accepted is if they get fully desperate, they will say, fine, we will stop the nuclear program, limited, extremely limited. And we will also limit the production of the ballistic missiles, because in reality what they want to do is they can do it in secret. Underground bunkers, they can still develop it. Both nuclear and ballistic missiles. But they can lie to the Americans and say, yeah, sure, we'll agree on both ballistic missiles and nuclear. They can't say yes to the end of support for proxies. They can't say yes to the end of the suppression of the Iranian protesters. They can't do any of that. That's literally suicide for the Islamic regime. So the way things stand, these talks, meaningless, waste of time, let them talk. It won't get anywhere. We're going to keep you guys posted. It's going to be a long evening, ladies and gentlemen. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'm Tousi, and we are the media.